Children of the night, what music they make.
They're all gonna laugh at you!
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
What's that?
I'm not gonna hurt you. I'm just gonna bash you with it.
Welcome to an extraordinary episode of Final Guys. You saw that coming a mile away, didn't you, Hunter?
Yeah, but rest assured, this is the same dumpster fire you get every week.
Welcome to the podcast, everybody. We're going to talk some horror movies and other various nonsense. Hunter and Jason are my co-hosts. What's happening, fellas?
Just chilling in the house, as always.
You're chilling in Illin, just like the snowman.
Oh, God. We're all going to go Jack Torrance pretty soon.
Yeah, I'm starting to talk to people like on the phone, and I can tell they're getting a little glitchy. Like,
I wish I was a therapist, man. I would rake the money in for the for the rest of my life.
Yeah, they're probably doing okay right now.
And I specialize in agoraphobia, which is going to be a phobia that's going to be through the roof when nobody wants to leave their house, even when people are going, please come.
Listen, once they let people go back out, people are going to go back out and be like, oh my God, I liked it better at home. And they're going to run back.
Not me. I'm burning my house down when I'm done.
I am curious if people just, a lot of people want to stay home as soon as things open up, or if it's just like a scene from Braveheart with people like running to the bars.
Hey, Twitter just announced that their employees can work from home for the rest of history. Like
you know what? They could save a whole lot of overhead money. Once companies realize, holy crap, the wheels don't fall off if people work from home, they're going to rethink that. And it's all about saving money for themselves.
Sure.
Jason doesn't care. You're not in this world.
Don't give a shit.
All right. So tonight our main feature is a horror comedy. I think it's out of Ireland, called Extraordinary. Will Forte from Saturday Night Live and MacGruber and Last Man on Earth and various other things.
MacGruber.
So that's the main feature. But before that, what are the drinking words for the drinking game tonight?
Oh, well, the drinking rules this week are, Jack, if you say the words haunted, Chinese, or daughter, do what you're doing right now, take a drink. If I say Irish wife and ectoplasm, I drink. And by the way, I'm upset. I meant to bring yogurt up here with me so I could do like an ectoplasmic vomit later, but oh well. Jason, your words are funny, special, and performances. And if either of us say rose, ghosts, or forte, y'all want to drink. Get yourself
nice.
Splendid. I saw a couple of reviews of this movie where people were calling him Will Fort.
That's okay.
All right. Before we get to that, I got some news, but anything to talk about before we get to the news?
I was going to talk about one of Sheridan Bradford's comments, but I'm just going to enjoy it myself.
Do you want to read it out loud? This is nice.
I mean, I had a woman call me today who was absolutely convinced if she consumed a digestible product in the night, it slopped out as a cold panty pudding by morning. COVID PTSD.
Wow.
That's amazing.
This is why I don't have a job, kids.
What the hell does he do for work?
Hey, who's he running into?
We should mention for people who just tune in, every Tuesday or Wednesday to watch or listen, we released a special episode this weekend.
Yes, we did. This is the biggest news of our career so far.
Our first ever.
We got to interview the director and producer of ICU, the director Adam Randall and the producer Matt Waldeck, and we talked to them for a good hour and 20 minutes probably.
Yeah.
So we got all the lowdowns on one of my favorite movies of the year so far, ICU. So if you are interested, check it out. It's pretty fun.
Our bonus podcast, just go wherever you download the show and get it. And even if you don't listen to it, why don't you just download it so we get the count? You know what I'm saying? Help us.
And hey, The bonus episode costs as much as this one.
Yeah,
That's right. Except that one, this would cost me like 5 hours of editing.
I could hear you cursing from hundreds of miles away.
I was not pleased. I got very drunk that night.
I gotta say that was so cool, and that some of the stuff that we learned behind the scenes of that, I still think about it. I think it's so cool, and the fact that that those guys took that much time to talk to us was amazing. And the director was in California with a horrible cell phone connection and just tried to plow through as best he could. That was really fun. I had a blast with that.
Hey, proof for all directors and producers and anybody in these movies we talk about, we can sometimes be adult enough to have like a real conversation.
Yeah,
Occasionally. Let's not get out of control.
It was our only time none of us shit on each other in an episode, so it was great.
It wasn't too bad. Yeah,
It was a nice
But-
break.
I have a feeling that we're gonna be hearing from those guys again. The director's already working on a movie for Netflix.
Yeah.
Well, he was until all this bullshit. So those guys, I like their trajectory. They've got some skills.
Mm-hmm.
if you do watch the movie and you like it, mention it on Twitter and tell them that the final guys sent you. You know what I'm saying? Give us a little
There
love.
we go.
Yeah, and then tag Nigel Bach while you're at it.
That's the
Jack.
holy grail.
And Jack and I went Monster Man. We had a great interview this weekend with Violet Castro, which
I saw that. I didn't get to listen yet.
that episode is doing bang up numbers right now. So that's awesome. It's good because she was very interesting.
She was a blast too. She's written some vampire books and some other stuff. We loyal Laurel Hightower had recommended her when I asked her for a vampire book, and then Hunter went ahead and read another book of hers. We talked to her. She was in London, and so that was our first across the pond Monster Man we've ever done. So this has been a good couple of weeks for
Yeah.
Nice.
for us. So check that. That's only on YouTube on Monster Man. So check that out as well.
I shall watch it.
It's all right. You'd rather watch it. You'd rather see our faces.
Yeah, I have not seen enough of you sons of bitches. Last
That's all
couple
right.
weeks.
That's all right. Violet is much better looking than both of us. So just concentrate on that part of the screen.
I can do that.
All right, ready for some news?
Yeah.
Do it.
It's very Mike Flanagan heavy news this week,
I
fellas.
figured it would be.
First of all, Mike Flanagan is going to direct another Stephen King adaptation from a book called Revival. Anybody read this book?
Yes,
Yep.
sir.
I did.
Well, I have no idea what it's about. It says something about
It's an interesting choice, is what it is for Flanagan.
Yeah.
fallen minister and a young boy turned heroin addict. After the boy's life is upended by a family tragedy, the minister loses his faith.
It's different. That's what I never thought we'd see a movie of, and I think maybe that's why Flanagan took the challenge.
If I recall it, its ending is kind of like flat. It's been a while, but I don't remember the ending really. Well, I don't remember a whole lot of the ending. So
Yeah. Although my
remember
friend
parts of
Norm,
it.
I think he said it's one of his favorite King books. So
really,
It's-
I mean, look, King is always good. He's never bad. So I'll take what I can get.
You ever
Even,
read
dude, even the
Lacey's
Tommy
story?
Knockers.
I could get through that, but Lacey's story is the only one that was like, Did he
No,
hand the
I
reins
liked
to
it.
someone else for that one?
It was fine. It's King.
Did you know that HBO is developing a series called Overlook that's going to explore the untold, terrifying stories of the most famous haunted hotel in American fiction? It will be produced by Star Wars Rise of Skywalker director J.J. Abrams and his Bad Robot production company.
Mm.
I did not know about this.
I would like it if it was a series that we saw in the movie we're reviewing tonight, Extraordinary. If it was like Overlook stories done by that woman's father from like the 80s.
Yes.
I'd tune in every week for that.
It's surprising to hear they're doing something based on The Shining after the last movie just completely bombed at the box office. It's a weird choice.
That's true.
Stephen King's so hot. They probably had some success with The Outsider. And I think even though Dr. Sleep didn't do well at the box office, it still got a lot of buzz in the genre. So
It did. Just sucks they didn't. It still pisses me off how many people I talk to, and I'm like, "Oh, you need to see the sequel to The Shining. It's so good." And they're like, "What the hell are you talking about?"
right.
Nobody had any clue.
You're right. Nobody, and there's a lot of people who are very lukewarm on that movie too. A lot of people I know, and I'm like, "Oh, did you see Dr. Sleep? Yeah, it's all right."
Ah, they're
Idiots.
losers.
Really?
Don't be friends with
Jinx.
Damn it.
By the way, Eric Smith believes it's an anthology series. So maybe be like a different like tale from the Overlook.
Yeah, that's the sense I get from it because it's saying that it's
Tales from the Overlook.
Untold terrifying stories. So that kind of lends it to being.
Will we figure out the was it the
dog
face
guy or the
blowjob
bear
or
guy
whatever?
All I just want to see is the groundskeeping crew just like trim the maze. Just like 45 minutes of gardening.
I want to see the janitor after like the elevator. He's like, "Oh, are you kidding me?" He's gonna mop up all the blood.
It's gonna be what's his name? Who was in a shopping mall? Dick's the hell is
Oh,
janitor.
I'm talking about.
Yeah.
God damn it. It'll come to me.
It's so scary. My mind is
Why can we not think of his name? He's a freaking legend. God damn it.
I know.
Is it Dick something?
Yeah.
Damn it. Dick Miller.
Dick Miller. There we go.
Jesus.
Rest its soul.
I would like to see an episode based on the hedge monsters, but with the exact same CG from the movie from the 90s, from the made-for-TV series.
Oh.
That was beautiful.
We know a couple of people who'll be into that.
I want to see the one where the twins try out for the Coors Light commercial. And the twins.
See, we can make this show so much better.
Yeah. Put us in charge.
Mike Flanagan is also adapting a book that's not a Stephen King book. It's a book called The Midnight Club, written by Christopher Pike, published in 1994. A hospice for terminally ill teenagers where a group of patients begin to gather together at midnight to share scary stories. The group makes a pact that whichever one of them dies first will contact the others from beyond the grave. Anybody ever hear of Midnight? What is it called?
No, I wasn't. When his books were so popular, I was in college and then I was getting married, so I never really picked up any of his stuff.
Christopher Pike, to me, is the original captain of the Starship Enterprise.
Yeah, I know. I knew you'd think that, but he did like a lot of YA horror. So if you like Goosebumps, then you grew up a little bit and you could go to his.
Well,
Never
Flanagan's doing it, so we're all on board.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
the man can do no wrong.
The last piece of news does not concern Mike Flanagan, but it does concern Leatherface.
Oh,
Bring it on.
So the guy who made the Evil Dead remake, Fede Alvarez, and
Fetty Wap.
Ryan and Ian Cohill are working on a reboot of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, kind of akin to what Halloween did, where I think they just take the first one and then they go to like modern times. And
Don't wipe out the second one.
there's going to be a depiction of a 60-year-old Leatherface, similar in age to Michael Myers. Interestingly, the character is listed as Leatherface, aka Kenny. In this telling, he's 60 years old and characterized by having a big build. He's not a bodybuilder. Maybe he's slightly obese. He also wears church clothes that are too tightly fitted. The story follows two sisters, Melody and Dreama. The older sister is a 25-year-old San Francisco moneymaker who drags her younger teenage sister with her to Texas on a business trip out of fear of leaving her alone in the city. On the other hand, Dreama is an amateur photographer and, it should be noted, wheelchair-bound and presumably disabled. No official.
That sounds exciting.
I don't know about this.
Oh my god. Well, whatever. Kenny the Killer.
Kenny.
Look, I love anything TCM. Anything. Like
I don't.
That's like my jam, but well, whatever. I'll watch it. I know I will.
really? Even like the third and fourth movies?
Yep. I like them all.
I haven't watched them. I've heard things.
You ever see the Matthew McConaughey one?
Just clips of his acting that
Him and Renee Zellweger.
It's beautiful. Yeah,
it's incredible.
That's on my. I don't know if I've ever seen the whole thing. I gotta find out where we can watch that one. I gotta put that on a to-do list.
It's a good one.
You know what? Let me make sure it's on my list of bullshit I have to watch. Oh, it's not. Great.
Oh, add it to the list there, sir.
Is that on Prime?
Texas Chainsaw Massacre? I have no idea.
The Google machine.
We'll let our producer look it up.
Okay, so that's all the news. So now let's go into what did we watch last week? Roll it.
We have such sights to show you.
All right. Jason, would you like to go first, or would you like somebody else to go first?
I've got a ton of shit. So
Yeah, there he goes. Lead it off.
I'll just kick it off by saying we watched Brain Damage on Friday.
We did.
I did too, even though I wasn't with you guys. I was laying down half dead, but I enjoyed it.
I had never watched this movie. Holy shit, it's insane. I mean, I expected it to be crazy because, Frank Henenlotter, but this movie was bananas.
Yep.
It was interesting watching it with my niece.
Oh, my.
Particularly the dick monster, turd monster blowjob sequence.
Yeah, that's a rough one to watch.
The instant classic part of that movie.
Yeah. My brother just kind of kept looking at us in the webcam like, really?
It's so cartoony, though. And when we were that age, we were watching crap like
totally.
She can handle it.
It's just, watching it with your niece is fun.
I had never seen that movie either. That's one of those ones that when they said the name, I was like, oh, yeah. And then I'm like, oh, I guess that's just one of the ones I saw on the video shelf and we never grabbed. And I'm like, oh, I can't believe I had never seen this before.
See, I always switch between that and Basket Case being my favorite Henenlotter movie. I love both of them.
There's a cameo from the Basket Case guy in this movie, and they tell a great story how the guy had like a buzz cut, so they had to put a wig on him.
Yeah, because you see that hair, you're like, what the hell?
It was awful.
And on the across the Skype that we're doing, Jason and I look at each other like, is that the Basket Case guy?
Were you with us in Connecticut Horror Fest when I followed him in the bathroom and we were talking while taking a whiz side by side?
No.
I followed him back to his table, but actually he told me to come back and he talked to me for like 15 minutes. He was a really nice guy.
That's awesome.
Very nice. Just like this movie. Very nice.
Very nice.
That was a perfect Joe Bob movie.
It is. It's so out there. I mean, it's a sentient turd that interfaces with his brain. It has
and injects him with a drug.
Hunter, were you watching it on the Joe Bob?
Yeah, I was.
So you heard that Zachary was the voice?
Oh, I knew that. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to make sure I got his autograph before he disappeared from this mortal coil. He's actually hanging up over there.
That's a treasure of a movie. So if you haven't checked it out, the Joe Bob version, always worth a
Ken Griffey's autograph.
Zachary's right there.
What do you got for Hunter? What did you see?
Okay, so I won't go too deep into this because I'm sure you guys are going to watch it. It's on Shudder. It's called Blood Quantum.
Quick question: Is this one worth a main feature for?
I don't think so.
Okay,
all right.
So it came to Shudder, and I remember reading about it in Rue Morgue magazine a few months ago, and I was like, oh, it's a Canadian movie. It's Native Americans. It's starring Native Americans, and it's their take on the zombie mythos. But in this case, this particular tribe is immune to zombie bites, so they're kind of like the last people standing. The name Blood Quantum, I will tell you this: it's Blood Quantum laws, or Indian blood laws, are laws in the United States and the former 13 colonies that define Native American identity by percentage of ancestry. So I guess it's a way to kind of categorize if you're Native or not. These people are true up Native Americans. Look, the problem is it's a zombie movie, and we've seen these to death. And where it has an interesting premise, this kind of like socio-political idea behind it, it starts to fall into all the same kind of tropes that you've seen a jillion times before. It's dark, so it's a lot of it shot at night and look like a lot of natural light, so it's not pretty to look at. Some solid performances, and it's cool, but then to me the wheels came off like the last third of the movie. But look, it's on Shudder. I think people should watch it. I think it's important to watch it just for what it's trying to do. It just wasn't. I thought it would be this like blow your balls off We know what happens.
I was gonna watch
Kind
it
of
last
thing.
week, and then I said, let me check with the fellas to see if we're going to main feature it. So, what you're saying, I'll still watch it, but I don't have to.
You guys watch it, and if you want to do a main feature, we can. Look at it that way. You might feel different.
You're not selling me on it so hard here.
It's hard. That's it's also because it's zombies. I'm just so zombied out.
It's got to be above the genre. It's got to be really high level stuff for me to
I'll
care.
tell you what, that Black Summer was so great because I was just like, wow,
Yeah.
this is zombies, everything we've seen before, but just done so well and entertaining. So,
I'll wait for Peninsula.
oh, can't wait. Do you see the trailer for that?
No,
It's out.
I kind of don't want to. I want to go in blind if I can.
Trailers can kiss my ass.
Yeah, that we know.
My first movie is one I saw a long time ago and have been meaning to watch again, but kept forgetting about it. And then I have the cable channel Stars, but I didn't have the app for it on my Amazon. So I loaded it and I found all these movies that I was like, oh, this is great. So I watched The Entity. I'm gonna why I knew, Hunter, that I'd get a reaction out of you.
I own that. Several versions of it.
And so I saw this. I saw this like once or twice back in like the 80s, early 90s, and thought it was great. But I haven't seen it in so long that I forgot a lot of parts of it. If you have not seen this movie, it should be the next movie you watch. This came out like right around the time of, like right after Poltergeist, maybe within a year. They were made around the same time, and it's very similar to Poltergeist in that there is paranormal activity in a house, and at some point, paranormal investigators come in to help. But it is nothing like Poltergeist in that there's nothing family friendly about this movie, and it's one of the best ghost movies ever, and it hardly ever gets talked about. It's Barbara Hershey is basically getting sexually assaulted by a ghost, and when those attacks happen, they don't pull any punches. There's thrash metal playing, and
I don't remember the metal.
The music, the soundtrack, whenever she's being attacked, it's jarring. Yeah, it really gets you.
And it's got Ron Silver is the like psychologist or psychiatrist or whatever who's like treating her, and it's kind of like there's a lot of overtones to sexual abuse, sexual assault victims, and people not believing them, and all the kinds of shame and things like that they go through. So there's a lot of levels to this movie. You watch it and you realize that Ron Silver just comes off like a bad guy in everything that he's in. I just kept thinking of Time Cop when I was watching this.
There's something about him. I don't know what it is.
Oh, now I know who you're talking about.
But yeah, if you watch the movie, then investigate the real. That's based on an actual.
Yeah, it's based on a real story.
That was investigated by legitimate people.
I looked into this a little bit, and I don't know if Toby Hooper did the special effects, but whoever did it, there's parts where you see her naked, and you can see like the hand imprints of the.
I remember that.
I knew you were going to talk about the boob grabbing.
Well, it turns out that it's a prosthetic body. And
really?
they had like suction cups on the inside, but I'm telling you, when you watch it, you don't know that. Like it's very convincing because
I never knew that.
Yeah, this might trigger some people, and if it does, too bad.
But Hunter, wouldn't you agree that this is like one of the best ghost movies?
It is, totally. It's an underappreciated classic. Because they play it for reals. And whenever you say based on a true story, it makes the stakes a little bit higher. But then when you really investigate this, it's serious.
Yeah. So I came out of it going, wow, it's been so long since I've seen this. I haven't been this happy to see a movie in this, a long time coming kind of movie. And I couldn't wait to tell people, because I'm sure there's a bunch of people out there who have never seen this movie. This should be like the next movie you watch. Get out there and see this movie.
Totes McGoats, you want to come over and watch my VHS or my Blu-ray or my DVD?
I want to see it on Flipbook.
Flip. All right, let me get to working on the ghost rape.
I only really remember the rape scene. I don't remember the rest of the movie that well.
There's a couple.
Yeah, there was like a whole team of people investigating her at a university.
I mean, I haven't seen the movie in probably 25 years.
The guy who plays her boyfriend is the guy who plays the record executive from That Thing You Do, where the lead singer guy goes up to him in the hotel and he's like, the guy's like, "Where's my sandwich?"
Oh my
He
God.
goes, "Sir, I'd like to sit down with you and talk about my records and stuff." What the hell is this guy doing? That guy.
Well, everyone's got to start somewhere.
That's a deep cut.
It really is.
If you haven't seen That Thing You Do, you should watch that too.
I have. I like that movie a lot. I think Tom Hanks directed that. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Idiot.
I have to tell you, I started a new series.
Oh God.
It took me a while. This is kind of sucking the life out of me. So I figured, why not pick the one that's going to push me right over the cliff?
Oh.
So I watched Children of the Corn, the first one.
Oh my God, there's 100 of them.
Yeah, it's going to take me months.
God.
So it's been a while since I watched the first one. This is not as bad as I remember. It's not a great movie, but it's got a quality to it. I don't know if it's like the grittiness of most of it, but and it's got a killer premise. The first third of this movie is really good. Like when the children turn on the parents in the diner and kill everybody, and just the way Linda Hamilton and whatever in the hell his name is, Peter Horton, are kind of arguing and dealing with everything. It's solid. It's really the last act of the movie when they're trying to do this big budget, He Who Walks Behind the Rose scene. It falls apart pretty hard there. But
that's the best of the bunch.
So I had never seen any other one because I watched the first one. I'm like, this is okay. This isn't a bad movie. I like it. This is good. So I just never went on. Yeah.
Do you know how many there are?
I believe there are 10, 9 or 10. There's a remake in there too. So I got the first 6 in a box set on Amazon for $2.
God, you overpaid.
Don't worry. I watched the second one. I'll be talking about that soon.
Oh,
but
excellent.
this really, this isn't a bad movie. It's not as bad as I remember. There's quite a bit in it to like. The theme song is great. I don't know how they got that on. I looked up and only had $800,000 budget, and it shows at the end. But in rewatching it, I did not remember this. So the Isaac character is the kid.
He's the bartender.
What?
Isaac. He was the bartender.
Love Boat.
The Love Boat.
Oh God, dating yourself. Isaac is the one. He's like preaching to all the other kids, but I'm looking at him like that is not a 12-year-old or whatever the hell he's supposed to be. 14. I looked him up. He was like 25, something like that. He has some kind of disorder that he's only 5 feet tall and he has a high voice, so he was able to pass as an older kid. So that was interesting seeing that in high definition. Was like, that is not a child. But then I want to say the biggest thing that shocked me with this is, and I did not remember this, Isaac at the end. If you haven't seen this movie, I'm going to spoil it. I'm sorry. The movie's 35 years old.
Yeah.
The green giant comes and takes all the corn.
It's what they tried to have happen, basically. So the other kids sacrifice Isaac, right? The leader. He's on the cross and the monster comes and gets him and like throws him like a rag doll into the field. And then he comes back and kills the redheaded kid, Malachi. He like breaks his neck.
Oh, that what he's like, Malachi. He wants him too, Malachi.
Yeah. So he's possessed by He Who Walks Behind the Rose, right? Kills Malachi. You never see him again. He does not attack the rest of the children. He does not attack the adults. He's literally not in the movie again.
He just had beef with Malachi.
Yeah.
So I had this group of friends in high school that we would watch like on a Friday night, like a regular movie. And then me and my friend Tom would bring a horror movie for the second movie. And sometimes the girls in the group would stay for the horror movie and sometimes they wouldn't. And for Children of the Corn, they stayed. And this girl, Sandy, a dear friend of mine from my childhood, very sensitive. And we're watching this. And after that part, I just turned to her and I'm like, he wants you too, Malachi. And she lost it. She was punching me and whatever. And then like for the rest of like high school, anytime I saw her, I would just say that. And she would like burst into tears and like punch me and run away.
That is so funny because my wife was the same way. If you just said Malachi, she'd get all like freaky. Like,
really?
What's the matter with you? She was a child when I met her, so it was fine.
Interesting. Well,
I was a child too.
You don't have to worry about Isaac coming to get you because he disappears from the freaking film. So there is no conclusion to his story at all.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful movie.
Maybe they revisit it in later.
I'm gonna
Very
find
fun.
out. Oh, it's free on Prime too. So if you haven't seen it in a while, it's a
Oh.
decent one to revisit.
All right. Well, better than decent. I watched the final season of Channel Zero, which is possibly one of the top 3 best horror shows ever put on television,
Killer show.
in my opinion. The last season, as you all know, every season is 6 episodes, and it's a different concept story. They all come from creepypasta. So the last one's called The Dream Door, and it comes from a story on creepypasta called I Found a Hidden Door in My Cellar, and I Think I've Made a Big Mistake, which is a great title.
Great title.
So in this, by the way, if you're on the fence about watching this season, Barbara Crampton, I say no more for you.
Giddy up.
So it's this couple that have just gotten married, have a lot of sex in the beginning. It's a very sexy one. And his
Can you say
mother,
that again?
very sexy. So his mother gave them a house, the family house to live in. So they're doing renovations, and then they go in the basement, and where one day there's a wall and next day there's a door in the wall. So, and this door is like sealed like Fort Knox. You can't get into the door.
Cool idea for a story.
Yeah. And there's like kind of a strange neighbor. There's a lot of stuff going on in this woman's background. I don't want to spoil this for people.
No, don't, because this is like, as soon as I'm done with Community, this is the next show I'm watching.
Yeah, you have to watch this. If you're a horror fan, if you're not watching Channel Zero, I don't know what's the matter with you. Honestly, it's only 6 episodes.
Yeah, but you liked all the Texas Chainsaw sequels, so what is?
However, anyone in horror will agree Channel Zero is the most underwatched, underappreciated horror franchise possibly in history.
I wish Shudder would pick it up and keep it going.
I mean, maybe they will. I think maybe if enough people talk about it, people in the know praise this. There's not a bad episode in any of these. So check it out.
It's good stuff.
All right. Well, earlier I made a reference to the Love Boat, and Jason, you said I was dating myself, but let me ask you another question.
Carbon date you.
Because a million years ago, when I was a kid, either Friday or Saturday nights, I think it was Saturday nights, it was the Love Boat and Fantasy Island were back to back, and every kid watched both. Did you ever see an actual episode of Fantasy Island?
No, I did not.
A million.
So Hunter and I have seen like a million episodes of Fantasy Island. Tattoo, Mr. Rourke, Ricardo Montalban. And as we all know, there is a remake movie by Blumhouse of Fantasy Island, and yes, I watched it.
Oh, my wife's been bugging me to watch it.
Yeah, I might watch it this week.
Well, it's not good.
Shocking.
But the trailers look so good.
But the funny thing about it is it actually plays like a bad TV show. Like the acting, the way that the story is structured, the way the characters just say things that set things up, and the way that the plots intersect. It literally, I was like, wow, this is like watching a bad TV show. But I think the problem that this movie had was that it went for like a straight horror movie instead of trying to go for comedy. I think if they had made this a little bit funny, it would have been much better. But they
didn't go for any comedy?
No, there might be a joke here or there, but look, there's a lot of eye candy. The Lucy Hale, the blonde girl from Mr. Robot, and Maggie Q are all gorgeous and all that. But it's worth watching just for the train wreck aspect of it. But it's not a good movie.
Did they bring the price down a little bit? Because
for
one
how much
time I looked, it was like $12.99. I was like, no.
I watched it with a friend for free.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I gotta find out. Maybe I go to Redbox. I'll touch Redbox and then lick my hand.
I would say wait for this movie to show up on your subscription. Don't pay to see it. But wasted opportunity. And look, what's his name? Michael Pena, who I love.
Mm-hmm.
He's Mr. Rourke. They just don't really give him much to do.
Who is Tattoo?
There's no tattoo, but there's
fuck that.
There's some tattoo stuff in it.
I'm sorry. You need Tattoo. Could they gotten like Gilbert Gottfried? You ever hear his tattoo impression? It's amazing.
There's some tattoo nods in there, but there's not an actual like
forget
Hervé
that.
Villechaize character in it. But I'm watching it, just going as I'm watching. I'm like, okay, this has got to have. Oh God, are you kidding me? Oh. Charlotte McKinney, who's like a model.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah. Carl
She's
Jr.
in it. Like one of the two of these two guys that go there. One of their fantasies, like they go to this party kind of place. They're like rich guys now, and like the whole fantasy. And that was the best part of the movie. Because like, oh yeah, pretty much any one of my friends, if we had a fantasy, it would be this. We'd go to this party, and Charlotte McKinney would be there.
Yeah,
waiting for me. So
waiting for me.
So
the movie is $6 on Amazon right now.
Yeah, you can wait, but it'd be interesting, Jason, to hear your view of it, having never seen Fantasy Island. Because Hunter, there's some stuff they do in that, so you'd be like, look, at Fantasy Island was a hokey show, but
totally
they kind of miss the whole tone of the thing. That, like I said, if they'd made it a comedy, I think they could have done a lot better with it.
Yeah, Fantasy Island, like, it was hell in paradise. That was the whole idea, right?
And Mr. Rourke started as sort of maybe a dark character, but eventually he was like an angel who fought Roddy McDowell, who was the devil in one episode.
God, yeah.
But
the
it'd be
things
interesting.
You missed, Jason. The things you've missed.
It sounds great.
And that's why I was like, so maybe the part where I felt like, yes, this does feel like a bad TV show. Maybe they were hitting a mark there that they intended to. I don't know.
Yeah. All right. Is it my turn?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So I also watched Children of the Corn 2, The Final Sacrifice.
It's not going to get any
not
better.
The final. Seems like it's not the final sacrifice, though.
Yeah, I don't know why it's called The Final Sacrifice. I'm not entirely sure. But this movie is amazing. You know what? Let me bring it up on IMDb because I can't remember the one actress's name, but this movie came out like 8 years after the first one, which that's a long time for a sequel to a very low budget, not that great horror movie from the 80s. It kind of connects to the other one. I think they're near Gatlin or whatever the hell it's called in the first one. Mm-hmm. And, some kids are in the woods screwing around and they're kind of killing people and sacrificing to he who walks behind the rose. That's most of the story. But what I wanted to get to was the kills in this are so poorly done, I guess would be the way to put it. So at one point, one of the kids has a doll of a guy and it's like jabbing him in the face. So he starts bleeding from his face, right? But he's like holding his face as he's bleeding and he'll pull his hands away and you'll see blood spurting from his hands. So clearly he has the blood packets like on his hands and it's spraying into his face to make it look like his face is bleeding. Right. But he keeps reaching away and his fingers are just like jetting blood in the wrong direction. And shit like that happens throughout the kills in this all the time. These two guys in a news crew get caught out in a cornfield and a storm just hits and they start freaking out because I guess he who hides behind the rose is coming or something. And the one guy just yells, "Get out of the van." So of course corn stalks start attacking them. So then like they have to try to get back in the van and a corn stalk, I shit you not, flies like a javelin through the windshield and kills a dude. It is glorious.
Lamar.
My wife's allergic to corn. Just going to the cornfield would kill her.
What's the corn syrup that's so bad that everybody talks about? Oh, does it have blah blah blah?
Fructose corn.
High fructose corn syrup. Is there any of that in it?
There's so much of that in this. There is some kind of algae or something or fungus on the corn that I think they're trying to explain away how this is happening, like how these kids are believing this shit with this fungus stuff, but it's not the best. A house that's lifted up to be level by some jacks, the kids lower it on an old and as she's being crushed, she goes, "What a world!" And then you see her feet sticking out from under the house.
No
Nice.
way.
I shit you not.
All right. Well, at least they didn't take it too seriously. Good for them.
Yeah, we'll go with that. There's a Native American professor who's helping the main guy who's a reporter, and he gets killed. So, after everything's over, they decide, you know what? We're going to give him a proper death. So they build like an altar out of corn stalks and put him on it and just burn him in the field. No,
Nice.
they don't call like the state cops to come, take his body to his nothing. They just burn him and walk away.
Oh my.
And then there was one very attractive girl who rides up on a dirt bike at one point, and I'm like, I have not seen her before. Turns out she is Christy Clark, who went on to do 632 episodes of Days of Our Lives.
Wow.
So good for you, Christy Clark.
Yeah.
That's some solid paycheck action right there. So
Go Christy.
Children of the Corn 2, The Final Sacrifice, I would say is about a third as good as the first one. But it was so ridiculous that I was enjoying it, but it's not good.
All right. At least it gave you some joy.
Yeah, it's a thing.
All right, Jason, I watched something I think only you would watch, maybe. Dark Encounter. I was just tooling through Prime one day.
That sounds familiar.
It's a UFO movie, but actually done pretty well. So it's not found footage, shaky cam stuff, and it's more of a family drama. So this 8-year-old girl goes missing out in Pennsylvania. When I watch this movie, I'm going, holy crap, this is right up Jason's alley. You might get homesick watching this.
Okay.
Freaking yokels in the middle of nowhere. And then it just goes to, it's a year later and it's the anniversary of her death. And like the town is still devastated by this. And there's been like some kind of like rally that happened. And it's the family going back to the house just to like, eat and be together. And like one of the deputy sheriffs is part of the family. And it's this grief over this girl gone missing. And then in the middle of their little dinner thing, they see all these lights going on up in the sky and, in the middle of nowhere. The guys go out because the father, who's estranged from the wife, they're still living together, but these things happen to families. He's convincing some kids down the road who are messing around. So I think he was going to shoot them. He kept saying, I'm just going to talk to him. So all the guys load up in the truck and they go out there and just weird crap happens out in the woods. This is a really different and very fascinating take on UFOs and aliens through the lens of this broken family. And what you think is happening is not what's happening. Just like what you think is going on with the family is not what's going on with the family. I actually thought it was pretty fascinating. I think if people are looking for like tons of aliens and a million lights in the sky, they might be disappointed in this. But you do get enough where you're like, holy crap, that's weird. If that happened to me in the woods, I would literally crap myself. Literally. So check it out. Dark Encounter. I thought it was pretty good.
I just added it to my list. I haven't watched an alien film in a while.
I turned it on going, because I was tired. It was like 11 o'clock at night, which to me is an hour past bedtime. And I was like, I'll probably get 10 minutes in and shut this off. I was up to the end.
Wow, you started a movie at 11 o'clock at night? God bless you.
Since the quarantine, I am all messed up.
I started Children of the Corn 2 at like 10:40 last night.
Yeah. What does it matter anymore? Who needs to sleep? Who cares about times? Even when you're working, who cares?
Okay. Hunter, you're going to get a kick out of this. On our last episode of Monster Man, we were having a conversation with Violet Castro.
Yep.
And a movie came up that starred Nicolas Cage called Between Worlds.
You watched it?
It's on Netflix. And the reason it was brought up was because Violet said basically it had the most awkward sex scene ever in it.
Yes.
I'm interested.
What you said was terrible.
So I looked it up and you watched the trailer and it looks like this horror movie, supernatural thing or whatever. So I was like, screw it. It's on Netflix. I'm going to watch it. Oh man.
She warned us.
She knew what I was getting into. First of all, Nicolas Cage is it's like he lost a bet or something, and he's just has to make movies or something. And he's in full Nick Cage mode. Like
he's got to pay for all that Elvis memorabilia, so it
Yeah.
doesn't come cheap.
It looks like he looks like his character from Raising Arizona.
Ooh.
This many
I
years
want a
after,
baby, H.I.
he looks like H.I., but like whatever, 25 years later, and down on his luck. He's a trucker who like meets this woman who's being attacked, and it turns out this woman's daughter is in a coma, but she has the ability to cross over and communicate with dead spirits or something. He ends up helping her get to the hospital where she has crossed over or whatever, but in the midst of all this, Nick Cage's dead wife ends up in the body of the daughter. So there's a Freaky Friday thing kind of going on.
Oh joy.
So there is more than one sex scene in this, and they're all uncomfortable, but there is one in particular that is the awkward, uncomfortable, but the whole thing is just kind of a uncomfortable, poorly executed movie. That not much really happens in it, and then the last 15 minutes are, you have to see it for like the last 5-10 minutes. Like the ending is so silly, it's laughable. Like
I'm surprised Netflix has this movie.
I was laughing out loud at the end of this movie.
I like it.
Unintentional
so
comedy.
This is one that if you're working from home, this is like, I made the mistake of, this was like it's 8:00 on like Friday or Saturday night, like primetime viewing. I'm going to put everything down and watch a movie. This should have been the unfolding laundry movie.
Look, I think Violet really expressed that. She's pretty clear.
Yeah.
What's this called again?
Between Worlds.
Mm.
It's on Netflix.
Yeah. Watch it between poops.
It's the Nicolas Cage completist has to watch this movie. If you're looking for some over the top Nick Cage, you'll get your money's worth out of it. And like I said, the ending is just like, okay, that's awesome.
It's on my list.
Oh,
So yeah, report back after you watch that. Then we can talk
we'll
about
do. Is it me again?
Yeah.
All right. I watched a movie called The Siren on Shudder.
Shudder.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
I heard about that.
Isn't that the one that was from the VHS?
I think it's a different one.
VHS what?
VHS.
Remember the VHS?
Oh,
the
yeah, that's a
anthology.
different movie. Yeah, it's a different movie. So this one was done by the crew that did They Look Like People a couple years ago. It was an ultra low budget film. I really liked it. I thought that was a really cool take on what they were doing. But this one also was made for a pack of Schlitz and a hamburger.
Schlitz, get me some.
But one of the things I like about these guys is they stretch their dollar. Like you could tell every freaking dollar is on the screen. This is not going to be for everybody. It is the epitome of slow burn. It's about a siren in a lake and a mute guy who goes and stays in a cabin right beside the water, and they have a connection. The monster woman and the mute man. So most of the movie is their relationship growing, and then there's another man that lives up the coast a little bit, whatever, the shoreline, whatever. And he is all pissed off at the siren and is trying to kill it. And it's kind of their dynamic. My wife did not like this movie. She was very bored by it. But I like small kind of weird art house films. So I liked it, but I'm just warning people, this is slow. This is not for everybody, but I thought it was well done. And anything these guys put out, I'm going to keep checking them out. It's good stuff. But I'm warning you.
All right. Yeah, I was on the fence about it.
It needed I could have used a little bit more of an ending. Not that the ending was bad, but a little more story to it. How's that? That's probably a better way of putting it.
Right.
This is the stories. It's all about their relationship and their emotions and things. It's not really about story. I like story. I could have used just a smidge more.
All
But
right.
enjoyable.
Well, speaking of story, I read a book. It's not for the first time either. And anybody who knows me knows I love my cryptids. I read, again, The Mothman Prophecy by reporter John Keel.
I've never read that.
He's written some incredible stuff. So, I mean, he was, reporting on UFOs and Men in Black and all kinds of stuff, anything you can imagine. And like everything came to this boiling pot in West Virginia down there in the 60s. So it's just really cool. He kind of goes all over the place. I will tell you that. So you're not just in West Virginia during the Mothman flap, because he's bringing in all these different things that have happened before and after that he's just kind of coldly reporting on, but he also has a really engaging writing style. In fact, I have, right after I read that book, I'm like, you know what? There's a couple of things I haven't read of his. I went out and just bought them all on Amazon, and they're really good. This guy, he's not a fiction writer. I mean, he was an actual reporter. So it's really cool. And you could see if even half the stuff happened, man, I would not want to live in that town at that time. But it also,
John Ellis?
John Keel, Keel.
John Keel. Okay.
Yeah, the guy's a legend in this particular field. So read it.
I see. Damn, $12 on Kindle. Holy shit.
Yeah, that's why I just bought the paperback.
Holy crap. Yeah, the paperback's cheaper than the Kindle.
I have it on my Kindle, and I have the audiobook, and I said, let me just buy the actual paperback. I know. It was one of those essentials. If you're into this kind of stuff, that's like one of the ones that's in your library. It's like top shelf book.
Very nice.
If you're into that stuff.
Are we done with the show now? Can we go home? Oh, wait, we are home. Forget it. Let's just keep going.
I'm done.
All right. I'm done.
I just wanted to do a very quick shout out to a podcast I just found. I guess Marvel was doing for the last 2 years a Wolverine podcast with Stitcher.
Really?
2 seasons, 10 episodes apiece, about 25 minutes an episode, I'd say. I just listened to the first season called The Long Night. It was really well done. It was kind of like an audio drama, not like an audio book. So different actors, sound effects, clearly written for audio. So the story progresses really well. Like it's incredibly well done. My only complaint is Wolverine isn't in it that much. It's people searching for him.
Oh, jeez.
And kind of following the bloody trail he's left behind, but it's very adult. There's a lot of violence. So I'm really looking forward to starting second season because good stuff.
Well, speaking of podcasts, Grady Hendrix has one. Super Scary Haunted Homeschool.
Really?
Yeah, I just signed up for it before we came to do the show, so I can't wait to listen to it later.
He's awesome.
Yeah, he's incredible.
And this guy Joe Rogan has a podcast. You ever heard of that one? It's a little podcast.
I don't think it's going to take off. I wouldn't bother.
Yeah, it's 3 friggin' hour-long episodes. Jesus.
Are you guys ready for the main feature?
Yes,
sir.
Do it.
You like scary movies?
Uh-huh.
What's your favorite scary movie?
I don't know.
You have to have a favorite. What comes to mind?
Extraordinary. Jason, on Twitter, I think it is, or the description that you wrote for one of your posts is
perfect.
almost perfect. So please give us the recap.
Let me bring it up here. I did that really quickly when I was sharing this.
Maybe you should always do things quickly. It works.
Maybe I should. All right. So what I wrote was, this week we're talking Extraordinary, the classic tale about the daughter of a ghost hunter who teams up with a widower so he can talk to spirits on her behalf, which will allow her to save his daughter.
I would only add,
Bing.
from a one-hit wonder washed up Satan worshiper.
I only had 240 characters, so I actually had to cut it down a little bit.
No, that's a perfect synopsis for this movie.
That is. So this is, it's an Irish comedy, Irish horror comedy, but it's got that kind of British Australian humor thing going for it. So Jason, you recapped it. What did you think of it?
like all horror comedies, if the humor gets you, you're going to have a good time. And if it doesn't, you're going to be struggling like I was. I laughed for the first maybe 15 minutes. There was quite a few dialogue pieces in there that I thought were pretty funny, and I was enjoying it. And then the humor was just a flat line for me from then on out. It was not poorly made by any stretch of the imagination. I thought the CG of all things was shockingly good. I thought it was a well-made movie, but it's weird. If you think this kind of bizarre humor is funny and you dig it, then you're probably going to like this, but it did not land for me.
Right.
Hunter?
If you grew up watching a lot of BBC stuff like I did, you're going to like it. I would say this is not a horror comedy. It's a comedy.
Yeah.
It just is in the horror world. There's nothing. There is zero scares in this movie whatsoever. It's straight up funny. It's Irish. It's Irish, so I like it. There are parts where I was like, what? Like, I had to rewind because you'll miss stuff that people say. I don't think they're very big on enunciating over the pond.
Rapid fire dialogue too. They did not slow down.
Yeah, but I will tell you, I want the movie because it's Rose Dooley is the woman who's got a driving school and she used to be a paranormal person. Her dad had a TV show, Vincent Dooley. I want nothing but episodes of his show. Because when they show them in the movie, they're like, look, they're on bad VHS transfers and you got to adjust the tracking and stuff. And Jack, they're like the things we used to watch in the 70s and 80s. I mean, they're straight up the same aesthetic.
That was the stuff I was laughing at the beginning the most. I was like, this stuff is gold.
Oh my God. What he's talking about, if you think you have food poisoning after eating cheese, you probably ate possessed cheese because ghosts can get in cheese because of the bacteria, the live bacteria. I'm like, holy crap, that's a great idea. I thought it was funny. It had some cool sight gags in it. I mean, I enjoyed it from start to end. And Will Forte is freaking nuts.
I really like this movie a lot. I got the humor I got. I grew up watching Monty Python, Faulty Towers, all their other British humor.
Young Ones, hello.
The Goodies. You ever see The Goodies?
No.
That was a great show. I will say this, though. The first 2 acts of the movie, I was watching it and going, oh, this is pretty good. Good character development, a lot of amusing little things. But then the third act, I thought was really funny and it ramped it up. And I just thought that the ending was so good to that movie that it made it elevated the whole thing. Yeah. It made me appreciate the setup to it. So while I was watching, I wasn't like, oh my God, this is the funniest movie I've ever seen. I was like, okay, this is pretty good. I'm entertained the whole time, but I'm not like in love with this movie. Will Forte is phenomenal in it as usual. He is a one-hit wonder guy, and he's got a song called something like, is it Cosmic Woman or something like that?
That's something so stupid.
It's so great. And the girl from Love, who's like the roommate,
Claudia O'Doherty.
Yeah, his wife.
Oh my God, she was awesome in this.
She's hilarious. What a perfect casting choice for annoying wife. She was. And the lead woman, the driving school woman, I thought she was just charming and played her. She crushed it.
Maeve Higgins, who I looked, has not been around very much, but there is her and Claudia O'Doherty have both been on the Amy Schumer show. So there's a little 6 degrees of Amy Schumer.
So like I said, I'm watching it. I was entertained. I'm liking it. And then you got to there's a really slow car chase.
Oh my God, that car chase was
really funny. And then the whole climax of the movie, I just got me. And that took it from here to here for me. So I Jason, I think what you said is right. Is the humor is going to hit some people and not other people. And for me, it clicked with me.
It's like with all comedies. If you think it's funny, you think it's a good movie. I was like checking the time, like, God damn. Like there is no horror in this. I'm just watching a comedy that I don't think is funny. Wow. But I was impressed. I thought the filmmaking was very solid. And I don't know what the budget was, but damn, the CGI really surprised me.
I thought that CGI thing in the end, we haven't done the bell yet. As simple as it was, it looked really cool.
Yeah. I had no problem with any of that. A great example is Will Forte is not somebody that like his comedy doesn't resonate with me, and I just felt like this movie was very much a Will Forte movie, even when he wasn't in it. Like his style ran through it. So if you think that dude is funny, then you're probably going to love this. Or
that's actually that's a good point. That's a good point, because if you ever saw like Last Man on Earth or whatever that he's in, he's got a special brand.
It's a strange humor. Yeah.
And I get it with him. And the scenes where he is like doing these incantations and then like, he's like, honey, I've got it. I'm in the middle of this ceremony. I'm trying to.
Yeah, that dynamic was hysterical. And I thought the Rose and Martin,
yeah,
they were kind of a weird, cute couple. And Martin's dead wife, when she came out, was so funny. That cigarette pops out of his mouth.
It could have used a little bit.
Look at Jason's like, what does it matter with you two dopes?
Like, yeah,
we're not alone in this. A lot of people like this movie.
Yeah, no, it's like 98% and not Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah,
I can see this though. If you watch Shaun of the Dead, there's a great gag in that movie every 5 minutes or less. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
This movie's gags aren't as blatant or as well crafted. This is a much more subtle character piece. That builds, but then that ending, and I do like the simplicity of the special effects, like you said. It was enough. Like when you watch the Ghostbusters remake, it went over the top with stuff, and I was like, you know what, this did it better. We got whatever's going to come out is fantastic as it is, but they established the sheet ghosts.
Boy, if you've ever wanted to get just a really like your skin crawl, just watch someone like vomit ectoplasm and then watch someone try to kiss them.
Yeah, I've never seen somebody vomit so much.
The most vomit scenes ever done by an actor in a movie.
Yeah, that poor actor. I don't know what that shit was in his mouth, but he had to do that a lot.
I think it was the stuff.
I'm actually looking forward to seeing this movie again, because now that I've watched it, like you were saying, I think with Hunter, you said it, some of the dialogue just happens so quick, and so because of the brogues and stuff, that I want to go back and pick up some of the things that I probably missed in the first time around. So this is one that I almost like watched it again the next day. I had like a 48-hour rental, and I was like, should I just watch it again? But it's like, nah, I gotta fit in something. I gotta watch Nicolas Cage.
And there were things that they weren't really drawing much attention to, like driving around in the car with the daughter just like floating in the back of the car, and him forgetting the daughter. It was just weird stuff they weren't calling too much attention to, but it was funny when I don't know. But Jason, I totally get it, because this has to be your kind of humor.
It's a strange kind of humor.
Because I've sat with people go, oh, you gotta watch Keeping Up Appearances, which is one of my favorite BBC shows, and that people are like, what? Why would you ever watch this?
Yeah, their humor is very hit or miss for me. Sometimes I watch stuff and I'm like, this is gold, and then other times I'm like this. I was just sitting there like, I do not get it.
Yeah, I get it.
All right,
Gonna ring
time for the bell.
Yeah, bring it.
Spoiler bell has been rung. If you don't want any spoilers, bail now. Go see it. Be ready. It's not for everybody's cup of tea, but it's a lot of people's cup of tea. So it's worth checking out.
A cuppa. Would you like a cuppa?
Okay, Hunter, go ahead. Let's take us into the spoilers.
Well, I mean, the whole thing is Will Forte is trying to get a virgin. By the way, I love the fact that if you wake the virgin up while she's in the spell, she just explodes.
Yeah.
Unless you grab her by the ankle, then it doesn't wake her up.
And drag her through the night.
You hear the anger in Jason's voice when he said that?
Well,
Jason
likes rules. Like there has to be rules established.
You have to follow
the rules. Yeah. I know that's Jason's thing.
Yeah, as soon as he grabbed her ankle, I was like, what? Can't do that.
Oh, there was a whole lot going on around her when they took that binding off, and I'm like, wow, they're screaming and grabbing, and well, although I don't know, when my daughters were teenagers, I slept pretty hard. So maybe, Because when people say sleep like a baby, you don't want to sleep like a baby. That means you're crapping yourself and upset every hour and a half. You want to sleep like a teen.
Rules to Live by Hunter Shea.
And never put your head in a diaper, Genie. Norm, if you're listening, you know. And every guy I've told that to who's had a baby has put his head in a diaper, Genie. Let's get your head. So yeah, the whole thing is they bring Martin's daughter, Mil Forte, brings her, and they're going to sacrifice her to the devil. And the devil comes up wearing a sheet.
He's not actually the devil. He's some demon.
Some big demon. Close enough. He was pretty demonic. But to get him there, the one thing that shocked me was when he needed the blood from an unclean, impure person, and he slit his wife's throat. That I was like, holy crap!
As she's eating Chinese food while he's doing the ceremony.
Oh my god, crunching on the noodles and stuff. That shocked me, which I didn't think we'd get anything like that. So I like the fact that that was like one of those. Whoa,
that pleased me greatly because her character was so annoying.
I know, and she is one of the nicest people. Like that's a person you just want to just hang with all the time, but not that time.
It's acting. It's amazing.
But it turns out that Martin's daughter is not a virgin. That when he was in the store overhearing the conversation
with his dick stick,
I wanted to get to the dick stick. So he's got this stick that can detect virgins.
I thought
he drops it.
Funny.
Yeah.
And he just picks it up and drops it, picks it up, drops it. And the wife's like, why don't you get into town first and then do it?
And then he goes to a field.
Yeah.
Because he's a moron. But yeah, the dick stick points at the hardware store where Martin's daughter is working and where also Rose is spying on him. So naturally he assumes the teenager is the virgin. But shocker, Rose is the virgin. And I like the way that they saved her life.
I was laughing. I thought that was hilarious because they just went for it.
She's being dragged so slowly across the ground while this tempest is happening in this room. But she's got this slow and long enough for Martin to bang her and take her virginity.
But Martin is also possessed by his dead wife. So...
Oh, that's right, because the wife is fucking her.
Mm-hmm.
That's just so freaking brilliant.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like, once you got to that car chase, the slow car chase, the guy loses his finger, all that. Like, it was just kicking into high gear at that point. And then when you got to that, I'm like, this is so funny. Oh, my God.
I mean, my favorite relationship in that whole thing was Rose and Martin's wife.
Yes.
Like, those two were great together.
Oh, so good. I love the song, the Cosmic Woman or whatever it was. And I actually found it on YouTube. You can play the whole song.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
When the demon comes up and Forte says, I have my keyboards here. I can play you a song.
That was funny.
Yeah. See, there were, even for Jason, there were moments.
Yeah, it wasn't like I said, I'm not sitting here shitting on it because I recognize it's a good movie. It just didn't land for me.
Look, was it a good palate cleanser for Children of the Corn?
Well, I watched Children of the Corn too after that. So no.
Oh, jeez. Sorry.
Yeah.
I hope that the next drive-in they play Children of the Corn 1. I hope Friday it's the second movie.
That would really suck if I had to sit and watch it again.
No, I wanted to be the first. Because the second you might bail, you're like, I'm tired, it's late. But the first, you're going to watch the first.
Of course. Yeah. What are you going to do?
We can only pray.
Yeah.
Any favorite moments of yours, Jack?
Like I said, I love Will Forte's. Will Forte, everything he did was good because he was so funny. He throws himself into it. It's the Will Forte humor. But he actually does create a sense of menace in that movie. And I thought that was one of the great little things about this movie was towards the end, you were like, oh my God, there's a real danger to this guy.
This is a guy who had no problem walking around a teenage girl whose body was split in half and gooing all over his living room at one point. So kind of a bad moron.
And like I said, the lead character, I forgot, what's her name? Rose. I thought she just did a really great job. Like when she's sitting in the kitchen on her bounce ball eating yogurt.
And by the way, the whole time she's apologizing and upset about slaughtering her father.
Her father, who died while he was possessed by a dog.
By a dog and also a sinkhole, a puddle. Yeah. So she combined the two, and he ended up spinning in the road till a truck ran him over. Because there was a haunted little sinkhole that they were investigating. That I want more of. Like I want more now. I want more of young Rose and her dad doing their investigations.
Yes,
that could be a series. Shudder, get cracking.
Are you listening? I've been to Ireland too, so like the second that like they started showing things, I was like, oh, yes, totally. Like it took me back to those narrow roads. I was like, there's no way I'm driving a car.
Narrow roads with all that greenery. And I also loved when they went to trying to collect the ectoplasm from all these people who've been calling her, and they get to the old guy who's just rambling on about this red-haired werewolf. She's like, do you mean a fox? It could have been a fox.
I locked my keys in the house.
I gotta shit my keys. It's like a little throwaway line.
Collecting the ectoplasm was great. Actually, the guy who played Martin does a great job in this movie too.
Oh my God. Especially
when he's going back and forth because he keeps getting possessed.
Right. So he's going from downtrodden, henpecked man to just chain smoking bitch wife.
He had a lot to do.
He did. And just like his body language when he was her. Oh my God. Hysterical.
And this movie had the greatest taking off gloves scene in the history of film.
Taking off his regular gloves to put on his driving gloves.
Yes. That is, I'm so glad you brought that up. That is the best example. You guys found that hilarious. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? This is like a minute of watching this guy take his gloves off.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like Family Guy humor. Like when they do something for just an interminably long time, and after all, you start laughing. Out.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the best example of where we are diverging on the humor scale here.
Well, even like because Martin comes and he brings her a sandwich and a drink, and then when Will Forte shows up posing, both of them pose as people who need driving lessons to get at her for the paranormal. But when Will Forte comes, he brings him his own food and nothing for her.
By the way, went to driver's ed, never brought a sandwich along with me. Juice box or a mint. None of those things ever were in my possession.
Yeah, the juice box was a nice touch.
And like the mint that I remember, I just noticed when he was washing the dishes with his rubber gloves on, he's using the gloves to pick up the mint. And he puts just loose mints in his pocket. I'm like, who the hell would give you pocket mint to somebody?
Pocket mint?
Little lint on it. It's fine.
Pocket lint mint. All right, Jason, I saw what you wrote. I can't wait for this to be over. I saw.
That was me watching the movie last night.
I put this on my list, so it's in contention for the year, but who knows? It's also tough for me because it's comedy. So I don't know if it would be there, but like if the year shits the bed for here on
I'm
out,
completely opposite of you. It being a comedy, this jumped over a bunch of other movies for me.
So we'll see how it all shakes out, but I had a lovely night.
Yeah. All right. You guys want to do The Lodge next week?
Totally.
Oh, it's available. Oh,
it's available.
Sweet. Yeah. Hell yeah.
I don't have any homework. I don't have any homework. Just take my video and audio from the time I talked about it so I don't have to even be here.
Is it going to be better than Children of the Corn 3?
I doubt it.
No.
Okay.
What could be?
Great.
Jesus. What's he talking about?
I'm very excited.
Okay. Well, thanks everybody in the chat room for showing up. And,
you guys rock. Thank you for fact checking us at all times.
It's true.
Jason, enjoy your corn.
I will not.
We call it maize.
Hunter, enjoy your cornhole.
Cornholio.
Cornholio.
I need tippy for my bunghole.
And Jason, I hope you watch a little Nicolas Cage. I'd love to see what you think.
We'll see if I get to that. After 2 Children of the Corn movies, I'm not sure if I'll.
Yeah, you might need to space it out.
I'll see you two mugs Friday night.
Yep. And everybody else, see you next week. Thanks for coming.
Bye.
Bye.